You are now entering the spoiler zone. The following podcast contains explicit plot details and pockets of profanity. You have been warned. The Exton Moss Experiment. Adventures in Wine and Space with Simon Exton and Ken Moss. Hello boys and girls, and a very warm welcome to another edition of the Exton Moss Experiment. This time we go on a raid of someone else's archive and try and pass it off as all our own work. It's another of our appearances on the Peggy Mount Calamity Hour, where we were invited on to talk about the pilot episode of a supernatural anthology series from the 1970s called Leap in the Dark. Take it away, chaps.
Exit stage left.
Swearing and drinking, getting facts wrong. Swearing and drinking and getting facts wrong. It's the Peggy Mount Calamity Hour of the Marmaduke. The Peggy Mount Calamity. Bring retro TV to your
Are you all right? Hello and welcome to another nocturnal dwelling episode of the Peggy Mount Calamity Hour. I'm Dr. Velvet.
I'm Blackout.
And we're here because not only could we not find enough wood, but we've mislaid our only copy of the book How to Build a Fuck-Off Wicker Man in Your Backyard by Jack Hargreaves. We'll not fret too much, because joining us tonight are the dynamic duo of audio reviews, all the way from the rolling hills of the Exton Moss Experiment. It's Simon and Ken. How are you, gentlemen?
Hello.
Hello.
Greetings,
Tickety-boo and a
gents.
half. Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you for joining us.
Evening, Ken. How are you doing?
He's waving. He's waving at you.
Oh, he's waving.
Why is he pressing his tits against the glass? Bless him. And you know what? After seeing that, I need a drink.
Well, you know, with those nipple rings, you could always just grab a magnet and play Etch-a-Sketch.
Yes, hello to you all. Thank you for creeping into our tentative Terrasonan treatise of traumatic television, where Britain's best-loved battle axe is never that far around the corner, because here, all roads lead to the mountain. If you head over to peggymountpod.com, info for the episode we're watching tonight is in the show notes. You can find us on the socials, get in touch to say hello, or ask us why we haven't covered the Are You Being Served Beltane special yet. And before we spend 3 days wandering around a field with a stick and then send Northumbrian Water £6,000 surveyor's bill, gentlemen, I've got to ask, what are we drinking?
Well, you know that I am on the grape this season, yes. I'm drinking something called the Shy Pig. And it's well named because this 10% proof atrocity is social ineptitude in liquid form.
I knew it was going to go bad at some point.
If you mix Ribena with cheap port and add a dash of petrol, this is what you have here. Anyway.
I'll stick to wine, he said. I like wine, I'll stick to wine. Okay.
Not this. It's all me arse, this. No way. Mr. Moss, what are you drinking, sir?
Well, I have just moved into a house where there was a fully stocked bar left behind by the previous owners.
Is it a house or a pub? What's happening here?
Well, I'm hoping it's going to end up as both.
Nice.
But there is a row of miniatures on the top shelf of this thing, and I have plucked down a white triangular bottle with no writing on it at all, except Japanese symbols. I've pulled the stopper out, and the cork is so old it looks like a turd. So now I have decanted this thing. Let's find out.
It's Windeline, you maniac.
It's not. It looks like Kit's battery acid, but I'm going to try. I don't know what it is.
Ken Moss, who died today.
Yeah, right?
Oh, King Hell. It's Jesus Christ. It's sake that's gone brown.
Oh, poor man, that stuff is disgusting.
Fucking hell.
Hang on. Ken, play the music.
I love sake, possibly not that, though.
Oh, God, this is fermented to fuck. Next.
Simon.
Well, at the back of the wardrobe, I have found a bottle of Blue Topaz, which Aldi stopped doing ages ago, presumably because they were sued by Bombay Sapphire. I was searching through a load of my mum's old clobber that I've still got, mainly because I'm sort of decanting it to local drag queens. And I found this bottle of Blue Topaz, and it's lovely. It's as lovely as it ever was.
Excellent.
I'm drinking
Excellent.
that.
Are you using a mixer?
What now?
Oh, yeah, fair play. It's fine. Yep.
It's got some ice in it. Does that count?
That's enough.
I waved a slice of lemon somewhere near it.
Chuck it in that sake.
Yeah, Mr. Blackout.
I've got a bottle of Ramsbury 506.
Ooh.
Because it sounds like the phone number you find written on a scrap of paper inside that second-hand book you picked up in the junk shop in that village. The one where the proprietor with one eye seemed to know who you were, even though you were visiting for the first time. And when you finally pluck up the courage to ring the number, it's a crackly line to a solicitor's office back in that village, and they say they've got a small parcel there with your name written on it next to tomorrow's date, but you really need to pick it up today because otherwise the ritual will have started. It's a blonde beer from the Ramsbury Estates Brewery in Wiltshire.
Nice. Okay.
5%. It's perfectly fine. It's not as intriguing as the label, if I'm being honest.
I think you should send your blurb there to their marketing department. That should happen. Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that.
Speaking of blurb, actually, before we do move on to tonight's fare, I've got an email which arrived about a week ago with a question that needs answering, Blackout. It's from Hoss at bubblyem.com.
Right.
And they say, hi Hoss, by the way, and they say, I'm thoroughly enjoying the new feature, Toffee Tin, of Telly Tunes. But when Ozzy is playing the piano, what is Blackout shouting and why? Well, first of all, Hoss, he's shouting so as to create what we call an audio watermark, because we won't have people nicking with stuff. What's he shouting? Well, Blackout?
Colic.
There you go, Hoss. And listener, if you have any other questions about the workings of the show, Blackout will give you the socials at the end.
Yeah.
And on to tonight's fare, that I'm sure my cohorts around the microphones will agree is indescribable television. So I'm not going to try. In fact, I still can't believe it's for real. Trip out on this Sig tune.
Leap in the Dark was an anthology strand from the BBC in the heady days of the early 70s, the first series of which was presented in documentary format before moving to reconstructed drama in later years. A sort of Tomorrow's World for the supernatural, this began under the auspices of presenters Gordon Snell and Linda Blandford, based in a dimly lit studio in Bristol, while offering up a string of VTs and camera items to provoke thoughtful conversation among its open-minded audience. We've watched the pilot episode, the only one thought to survive from that first series, originally broadcast by BBC Two on Tuesday the 9th of January 1973 at 20 past 10 o'clock at night, where we delve into telepathy, clairvoyance and water divining. And you don't need the gift of precognition to tell you what the talking points were going to be after this went out.
So first off, that music. That is Rick Wakeman, high on glue, swinging a keyboard above his head before releasing it into the pan rack in a country kitchen. What in the name of audio psychosis is that?
That's the exact words in my notes. That music.
It is the leftover notes from Doctor Who, the Sea Devils, the ones that they didn't want.
It's...
Oh, accompanied by a beautiful Acorn Antique zoom over the caption.
yeah.
Swear to God, by the time you get that music, that set, which is basically a black room with some scaffolding in it, and those on-screen graphics, this feels like a dry run for Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Well,
Right.
it's funny that you should say that, because in my notes, Linda is actually the animatronic head of Zaphod Beeblebrox, stripped down and repurposed in a beautiful lemon yellow sail from a 17th century galleon.
Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned Linda Blandford, because Linda Blandford on that set, it's absolutely crackers. This is like the opening of so many 70s and 80s sketches about such programmes. This
Yes.
is the source. We've hit the source, everyone. Wow. So, first of all, Exton Moss chaps, were you aware of the existence of this televisual fare?
No, I was not. I don't know how this has passed me by, but it's 29 minutes and 35 seconds of, hell. But Dr. Exton, did you?
Yes, I'd heard of it. I'd never seen any of it before, and I'm not wildly inclined to see any more of it. But Timescreen, the wonderful, wonderful time screen from the 80s, in one of their very earliest issues, did a BBC archive breakdown of what was missing from a telefantasy point of view, and the last thing that they had listed as missing from the BBC archives was an episode of Leap in the Dark.
Right.
Wow.
The Battle for Miss Beauchamp, I think. Mm-hmm. Or Beecham, or however you pronounce it.
So we have Linda Blandford and Gordon Snell. Well, my God, she sat there like Caligula. He's not for real. The jacket is exquisite. Double-breasted velvet with dashing highwayman collars.
I have to agree.
Whereas she's dressed like one of the heroines from a Hammer horror film, and you just expect to see her laying out on an altar at some point.
Yes.
He's also borrowed the Thames barrier for his dentures, which makes every sibilant S an absolute dream, particularly when he talks about a police search in South Sussex, which is my favourite line from the whole half hour.
Yeah.
I mean, I speak as somebody who's got a bit of a sibilant S myself, but that's impressive.
Yeah.
And when they let him out of the studio, he goes wild with the costume, doesn't he?
He does. He loosens his tie and
on.
everything.
We will get onto that. Yes, absolutely.
He's basically the Poundland John Ridge, isn't he?
I'll tell you something. I am going to put forward some kind of pitch to a toy company so we can get Gordon Snell action figures with interchangeable costumes. This has got to happen. This has got to happen.
Combine it with whack-a-mole, but you're smacking him with a Ouija board.
You can't smack Gordon Snell.
I don't recognise either of these people. Are these famous bots from the 70s?
No, not at all.
He's familiar to me, and I don't know what from.
He was married to Maeve Binchy.
Oh, yeah, I was about to say that. That's the only other thing I know about him is, yeah, he was married to Maeve Binchy.
Wow.
I have some alumni notes if it would help.
Oh, yeah,
Always.
Right. Linda Blandford, this is her only credit on IMDb.
Really? With a staggering talent like that.
Gordon Snell, this is his only credit in front of the camera because he was mainly a lyricist, and he did the lyrics for the Look and Read episodes The Boy from Space and Badger Girl.
Wow. Okay.
But much more interestingly, and something that we've discussed on Exton Moss before, he did the libretto for a BBC science fiction opera from 1960.
Was it called Look at My Fucking Jacket?
Called Hands Across the Sky, which sadly doesn't exist anymore.
Burned in a bin.
It was an opera about a science professor, his assistant, and an alien, and featured James Maxwell as a voice artist, James Maxwell turning up again in Doctor Who's Underworld. And it had such wonderful lyrics as, I chased him round the uranium deposit and now he's locked in the heavy water closet.
Oh, wow.
This is all superb.
Yes. Amazing. Their crack's not up to much either, to be honest. They begin the show by talking about ESP and telepathy. And they ask the question, why don't we believe when you can get hypnosis on the NHS? It's because they don't exist, Gordon.
You know, this is one of the bits I didn't look up when the rest of the programme was so densely packed with stuff that just had me on Google. I'm thinking, I'm going to take his word for it that you can get hypnosis on the NHS. Has he read this in a paper? I don't know.
Oh, you can.
It feels...
You can. You get hypnotherapy on the NHS. Yeah, that is a thing.
But he says that at the same time as saying, no one knows how it works. And you're like, well, I think they've got an idea, mate. Otherwise it wouldn't be like, what the fuck? Gordon!
I'm pleased at that point we cut to Salisbury Plain.
Here we go.
Well, the cameraman and director clearly only usually film interiors, so they've gone full cinema scope on this. Ooh. The exterior soundtrack that they've used in the edit has been borrowed from the Sullivans because you don't find kookaburras in Wiltshire, mind.
Yes, we're out in Woodland, near Salisbury Plain, in a farmhouse laboratory that is apparently studying telepathy, psychokinesis and precognition. It also features signage done in biro, and they're using equipment made out of tinfoil, disused plumbing apparatus and a theremin.
That laboratory really just made my inner scientist want to curl up in a corner. They just had an empty demijohn.
Yes.
Doing nothing, dumped in the middle. And for some reason, she was behind a safety visor.
Absolutely this, yeah.
Was the empty demijohn not previously filmed with wine before that scene? Because I think it would have to be to even stagger towards the vaguest pretense of taking any of this bollocks seriously.
Yes, I mean, if the Pogles Bilberry wine was involved with this, I can understand how some of it worked.
Absolutely.
Given that the guy standing in the background looking on looks suspiciously like Supreme Chancellor Palpatine, I suspect they're dabbling in the Force there.
Well, speaking of the Force, when did they start using dowsing to solve crime?
Oh, do you know something? In any programme that's studying this kind of thing, Arthur Clarke did the same. There's always 25 boring bastard minutes with somebody walking around with a fucking stick. Can I just bring up the pronunciation, by the way? I think the young lady says that we're looking at psychokinesis. The what?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. We cut outside, and there's a woman there with a 2-layer blindfold on. She's touching a bit of paper. We wonder what she's doing.
Red.
Well, that was red, and she got it right. She was trying to judge the colours just by touching them with her fingers when she was blindfolded.
Yes, indeed, and in fact, she quite often scores 8 out of 10 on tests like that.
Well, I'm convinced. That's proof. Well done, everybody.
I'll tell you now, Gordon isn't convinced, because have you seen the way he's relaxing awkwardly on that seat as if he's got a fish fork up his junk? He knows he's telling lies. He's telling lies. There are people off camera holding up signs saying, "You are the father of all lies."
He's certainly not the only one in this episode, is he?
This is not the most amazing thing we're going to see in this half hour, though, is it?
Linda, by the way, is loving this. She's the Mrs. Peel to Gordon's John Steed.
She is.
In the 1970s
Again,
way...
Poundland.
Of course. 100%. Gordon's vocal delivery suggests to me that if he won the US lottery at something like $950 million, he'd reply with, "Oh, thank you." That man couldn't emote if his knackers were being nailed to Concorde. What the fuck?
I'd like to see you emote with those teeth in.
There is that, I suppose.
But his co-presenter is no better. Dr. Velvet, I suspect you're familiar with Chameleon from Doctor Who.
Oh, indeed I am. Oh, yes, okay, yeah. Yes,
Put a long brunette wig on and a lovely lemon meringue smock, and they have Chameleon.
Brilliant. Linda is Chameleon in a frock. Brilliant. Yes, I applaud that wholeheartedly.
Her head movements are impressive, and so is her enunciation. I think she has borrowed. She's not human. She's a mechanic. That's why she didn't have any other IMDb credits.
Yeah. She was taken apart and put in a box. Yeah.
Fuse blew.
She's Stepford via the rubbish bin, isn't she? Because she's the one that didn't really work.
Yes. Well, burnt in a bin, as Blackout said earlier. Yeah. Okay, the bit that Ken Moss has been waiting for. It's dowsing now. Folks slavering on with sticks.
Come on, baby.
Take it away, Gordon.
We investigated several kinds of dowsing or divining for this series. One film we made was about a man who finds lost objects or people with a map and a pendulum. It's a story that had a sad ending.
Please tell me he got lost on the way to the studio.
I hope you did. So, Ken, were you impressed with this?
I mean, the array of Songs of Praise cardigans and...
Oh, yeah.
We go to church every Sunday and we need something to stimulate us.
Right.
Is evident throughout this programme. It's people twatting about with sticks in fields.
Oh, 100% is, yes. Yes.
Little crystals on dangly chain. What's the matter with you people? Turn on a tap.
Yeah?
They can't, that's the point.
Well, I think they were making the point that the house didn't have taps.
Yes, that's why they're doing it, because there are no taps.
Well, they want to get some taps in.
That's what they're trying to do.
Ring a plumber.
They can't do that until they know where the water is.
In the taps. So dangling a pen suspended by a string over a map. That's the answer, is it? Because I'd have thought, wherever you place it, it's going to centre itself. Wherever you place it, and you can work that out without dowsing, surely. Poppycock to dowsing, that's what I say. Or, more accurately, fiddlesticks. Nah.
Do you also say tish and pish?
No, it does get dark, this bit, with the old murder investigation, doesn't it?
What it is, right? Serious tone of voice. A gentleman named Peter Goldsmith, this is real, from Stennon in Sussex, goes missing in June 1972. Big manhunt, it's been on the news. So by the time this goes out in January the next year, this is one of those cases that's still fresh in the minds of the audience that are watching. We've touched on this previously. It lends the whole programme this superb contemporary currency, right?
Yeah.
So then, Snell goes...
But in September, while they were still looking for him, we offered to bring a map dowser over from Ireland to see if he could help. The result was another police search, this time just outside Crowborough.
Right, spoiler, he couldn't help.
Right?
Am I the only person that thought that this was in staggeringly bad taste?
No, you are not alone, I fucking assure you. The thing is, right, the man's body was found in December 1972 in a bramble patch that was, I've looked this up, 0.7 miles away from Stenning at Pepperscombe Farm. Crowborough, where we see them looking, is 31 miles away from Stenning. Those are real numbers. I've done the maths on this. So this programme is broadcast in January 1973 after the body has been recovered, and they still put this out, knowing full well that the team of coppers and local volunteers are wasting their own and everybody else's time because of some old crank with a pebble on a bit of string. An old crank that the programme makers actually suggested get involved. This is fucking outstanding work. The supernatural bloodhound element didn't come into play at all. Peter Goldsmith's body was discovered by a farmer just going about his business.
Yes, but did he have a dowsing rod?
I doubt it. He probably had a pitchfork. They were all out in Clapham Wood destroying the shrubbery with sticks. I'm like, lads, you were going to find Lord Lucan riding Shergar before you come across the bloke you're after.
Fact. Yeah. But, as Simon's just said there, a dog, he'll have had a dog with him. That's how this has been found.
Can we lighten the mood a bit? And what other uses are dowsing put for?
Well, the sticks can be used to poke your own eyes out after watching this.
There's that. Yes.
It is, as has already been alluded to, it's not just dead bodies that you can find using the stick. You can also apparently find water. This was a standard thing in 1972. A utility company would send out a water diviner to work out where they should start drilling because someone's bought a cottage that doesn't have any water. The cottage has been there for hundreds of years. I don't know what they did before that. There we go. So yeah, we see a lady walking around a garden with a stick.
It's gripping television, this.
You know what? Fair fucking play. There was a new housing development finished, not far from me, about 3 years ago, and they weren't able to sell any of the houses for 2 years because the utility company refused to pay for the infrastructure to connect the estate to the main system. They wouldn't even go so far as sending out somebody with a stick. So this feels like something.
I'm going to lighten the mood even more with some of Linda's 1970s glamour.
Can we do this? Yes, let's.
I don't know if you know, Linda goes skiing.
And she's let everyone know about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
She lets everyone know that she's not very good at it.
And then she goes to that pendulum doctor who spent about a week listing every organ in the body that's going wrong. And
yes.
I'm amazed she could walk out of the room afterwards with that list of things wrong with her.
100%. Mr. Lewis and his dangling pendulum of medicine.
Yes. It isn't liquid on your right lung, I can tell, because I've spent all this time looking down your top with my dangly thing. Is it a cough that you have? Have you considered gangrene in your leg? Maybe a little further up your thigh? Maybe you've got a cyst? Every trick in the book to get her out of that lemon meringue. It's just not working.
Yes. The only thing that you have that works is fingernails.
So Linda's gone to see this guy because basically, he can divine whatever's wrong with you. She's told him nothing about herself, and she wants to see what he can pick up. Mm-hmm. Now, on one hand, this is superb, right? Because this is precisely the sort of blind test you'd want to apply to someone claiming to have these quasi-supernatural diagnostic powers. On the other hand, imagine going to see your GP and they're like, so what seems to be the problem? And you go, you tell me, no further hints. Even a qualified professional's going to tell you to fuck off.
Yeah. Well, not just that. I get the impression that before she's even closed the door, he lifts his head up from his desk and goes, your pancreas is fucked. He's just ready for her.
Right, no. Ken, play the tape.
The left eye is causing you a little trouble. We won't worry too much about that now. Your pineal and the pituitary gland is slightly out.
Yes.
The rheumatism that you have in the shoulders, elbows, arms, small joints. That, I think, will correct itself between that and tummy juices.
Fucking tummy juices!
And then she was going to go and see her doctor to get all of this confirmed, and he must have loved her coming through the door with that.
I'm fucking sure. She's got, "Doctor, can you look at my tummy juices?" He's like, "Not while I'm at work."
It's okay. You've got 10 minutes on the NHS to see your GP, and you hand over that list. And, you know, I've got friends who are GPs, and their heart would sink through their boots.
I swear to God, if she walks into the doctors with that list, he's just going to get out his tape measure and send the measurements down to the undertaker.
Well, I suppose if you list every ailment known to man, at least one of them's got to be right.
Well, not necessarily. Some people are just healthy.
Never!
I love that Mr. Lewis smiles throughout the entire lot, as if he's just reading out a shopping list. He knows there's precisely no medical basis for any of what he's saying. He's like, "Right, you've got rheumatism, liver failure, a broken clavicle. Have I? You've got colic, typhoid, croup. You've got 2 heart attacks and an arsehole full of strokes. Get out."
We move on from this, and we get a photograph showing that we've got some dowsers in a future episode.
We will not leave the dowsers alone, will we?
We won't, will we? It looks, to be honest, that photograph, it looks like a promo shot from a Saga holiday.
Yes.
Except they're probably only in their 30s.
Well, yeah, this is the 70s, so you're absolutely right there. Gordon is there in the clip, dressed as Noddy.
He's out on location with the dowsers in a field. He's got like a mustard yellow sweater, baggy, a big one. He's got this red wing collar shirt on, and what I can only describe as a bright red bumpkin farmer's hat. Who has he come as?
Do you know what? I'd love it, though, if he's doing this to take the piss.
Yeah, well, he 100% is, yes.
So, was he the inspiration for Farmer Barleymow in Bod?
I wonder.
Quite possibly.
Looking at that, I wonder. But he's in his dressing room and he's going, "What's going to fuck them up today?"
Yeah. Oh, yeah, the runners have gone round. They're gone, "When Gordon comes out, if he looks a little maybe outlandish, please don't say anything, because, you know, we've had problems in the past." And then, yeah, everyone just stands back and watches the unease.
If you say anything, he'll start making up lyrics, and you really don't want that.
Right.
So yeah, we've got a bunch of middle-aged people with sticks, obviously, walking around a field in the Mendips. They're trying to find 2 cavers. They've hidden themselves underground, tracked their movements with radios, to see if the dowsers are full of shit. This might be the closest thing we get to a scientific experiment in the entire programme.
Yeah.
Now, we don't get the full segment, as this is a look ahead to a future episode.
I'm excited.
Well, it should come as no surprise to any of us here that dowsers punching the air in victory does not feature in the clips they use here.
Yeah. No.
We are quite the aficionados of archive TV. Spend a lot of time in the past. But it has to be said that if this is an example of the unbearable excitement that Tuesday nights in 1973 on BBC Two yielded, kin hell. Yes,
Was this a double bill with The Adventures of Don Quick?
God almighty, because I'll tell you what, if I was there in 72 watching that double bill, I would put my head in a mangle.
Anyway, we're back in the studio and then Linda comes out with this.
We'd be very interested in hearing from anyone who has views on the subject, either for or against.
I promise you, Linda, you wouldn't. You want people's explanations here, perhaps even their experiences, but the very last thing you should be openly encouraging is people getting in touch with their views on what you're showing. For a programme like this, that would be absolute fucking madness.
Well, as we'll come on to at the end of the programme, she is wildly optimistic about this.
Oh, hell yeah. It's the pilot episode. She's planning out the rest of her career.
This was it.
We move on to horoscopes, yes, and we are told that the occult is in the fashion. Spirit guide. Who knows what will be in the fashion?
That's right. A piece on horoscopes and hippie shops, where basically, they don't say it, but I'm guessing like what, Kings Road, Chelsea, that kind of thing?
Yeah, yeah.
And the designer Lee Bender.
Yeah.
I reckon Lee Bender designed every thread of Gordon Snell's outfits for this programme.
Ah, of course. Makes sense.
That's how she's got a slot on here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because we've got Linda Blanford's gone out. She's borrowed the travel card. She's talking to this designer about someone who the designer met once who talked about spirit guides. She's not talking. She's not talking to the person who sees the spirit guide. She's talking to a person who spoke to them once. Call me sceptical at this point. This has all the scientific rigour of a conversation in a hairdresser's. One that's not about hair.
Yeah.
It is a lot of unprovable bollocks, again. And I think they designed the taffeta that they upholstered his teeth with. So, came out of it with something.
We stay on a celestial theme as we visit some hippies buggering about with star charts and living in a fucked up omnibus and wittering on randomly.
This is exactly the kind of tread I expected this programme to be on.
Same.
Rather than what it has been doing.
Yeah.
Well, they've wired up a baby, haven't they? They're using a baby to divine the future by clamping it to a series of unwashed nipples. But the common theme running through this programme is that none of these psychics are high-flying and have done well for themselves, considering they can all see the future.
Well, she's sitting there going, well, my future is sitting in vans with a bit of paper that I've coloured in myself with a UFO on it.
And an outrageous green hat.
Oh, thank you. There's a guy sitting in the corner. I thought I'd hallucinated him. He's got this, like, corkscrew hair and this green pilgrim's hat. He looks like, on one hand, he's the bass player in a psychedelic rock band, and on the other hand, a goblin.
I'd got Jethro Tull.
I'm just like, can anyone see this guy? Was he there on the day, or was he just, like, turn up in the film?
And he's out of his mind. You know that, don't you?
Yes, he's not saying a word, he's just dribbling.
Absolutely on another planet. He's just loving life. Yeah.
Perhaps more pertinently, the kid, the baby whose fortune is that the word, fortune? Future? I don't even know where we are. The one they've drawn the charts for, the astrology charts. That kid's going to be about our age now.
Yes, actually, yes.
I want to meet him, so...
Do write in.
Quinn, if you're listening, get in touch. PeggyMountPod@gmail.com. The programme doesn't give your surname, but if you spent your first 5 years in a van, then it's probably you.
Yeah. Archer's Court, home of the maroon slack. Now, I've written that, and I can't remember why. That could be something...
Can I just pause slightly and just put in a very positive... I love how we're herring through... Not us, the programme is herring through these different segments. It's only on for half an hour.
Yeah. Oh, you get your money's worth.
They are setting out their stall for what you're going to be getting every week here.
Yeah, but not for a month yet, because they've got to work through all of the letters and integrate them.
Well, that's right.
You're absolutely correct. Yes.
Could I just pause here and sing the praises of the linking shot with Linda that comes after the hippie segment? It's a beautiful mid-shot. She is talking in that animatronic way that she does. Not a single eye is on her face. As...
You speak for yourself.
Thank goodness this wasn't in 3D.
We move on, actually, to commercialism. Selling crystal balls to America for £1.
Yes, I think he could have left out the word crystal there, couldn't he?
Well, the main attraction here, obviously, is Gordon Snell's voluminous chocolate and cream striped cravat.
Yes, it is.
He is having the best fucking show here. Go over to PeggyMountPod.com, have a look in the show notes for this episode. There's a picture in there of the sheer array of sartorial splendour on display from Gordon Snell.
Brilliant.
The man doesn't just have a range of outfits, he has different characters. He's like,
yes, he does.
He's like Mr. Ben or Action Man.
Yeah.
I expected him to turn up on Salisbury Plain with camo fatigues and a tank.
The same tank that they used in the Doctor Who episode Robot. The Action Man Scorpion tank. Yes.
There we go. But yes, we're off. He's down in Hastings. Again, they've sent him out. A paranormal research team. They appear to be like the hippies, but with more metalwork. Is that accurate?
Yes.
And yeah, they're basically in a house. They call it Archer's Court. It's flats. They're making Ouija boards, crystal balls. They're making spirit trumpets, gentlemen.
Well, I have a theory about this.
Go on.
Yes, well, you've got giant marbles, comedy goggles, and a big foil trumpet. It's a party shop, isn't it?
Effectively, yes. They've just moved the fake dog poo out of the way. I suppose you could, like, let off the whoopee cushion into the spirit trumpet and go, woo!
And a big pair of plastic tits and a jar of fart sweets. Yes, I imagine it's just rock and roll at that shop.
But yeah, the representative of the company, middle-aged spokesperson John Williamson, he's talking about all of this ephemera with the gravitas of an insurance ombudsman. It's glorious. This fucker is here to make money out of the boom. He doesn't have to believe it, he only has to believe in the money. And Snell's brought back a load of springs and shit back to the studio as well.
Yeah.
So that's £400 out of the show budget.
He says what they are, but he doesn't say what they do.
100% this, Ken. Yes, he's been sold this. What's that? It's a dangle spring. You put it in your spirit trumpet. I've seen them floating around the room. Have you, John? Have you?
It's at this point that Linda finally cracks and basically says, that's a load of old bollocks, isn't it? And he has to desperately, with the tips of his teeth, cling to this argument that there might be some plausibility in it. As he's wafting around, one of those toys you used to get as a kid with a bee on it, or a dog lead with no dog in it. And
yes, this is exactly what it reminded me of. I got one of those in Blackpool. Exactly this, yes.
We have a medium interviewed by a psychiatrist. She couldn't be more vague if she tried.
Thank you.
Now look, I will not hear a word against this woman. She could remember being a child.
Oh, that's right.
Well, now, hang on a minute. Doesn't she say her age was about 9?
Yeah.
So she can vaguely remember being a child.
Yeah.
Couldn't remember anything else in her life, but she remembered being a child. So therefore, she was the wise woman.
Yes.
They've sent the psychiatrist out to interview her. Not Gordon, not Linda. An actual psychiatrist. And he's like, right, be specific about shit. So she just waffles on about all manner of, again, literally unprovable bollocks. And you can't pin her down in any detail because she's not actually talking about anything.
Yes. But I can't remember anything about that. She's like Tom Baker at a convention. Doctor Who.
They cut the interview because the audience is too overstimulated by this point. Just at the point where she says, yes, we're in the church, and everyone pointed to the back of the church. They couldn't see anything, but I could. So what the fuck were they pointing at, love?
There we go.
Yeah.
This could well be a thing that was going to be coming out on a future episode, but yeah, you're like...
Yeah, that's the stay tuned moment, isn't it?
They've sat it outside in a garden with a medical professional, and you're just like, what does she think she's there for? What's she getting out of this?
There's many questions about this pilot episode that we're watching. For example, we cut back to studio, and Snell, again, he's trying to sell the programme and what's coming up in future weeks, and he mentions that our programme will feature communication with the next world, telepathy, and woodlice. What's happening here?
Because I've been waiting for the woodlice.
We were trying to work out when we were like, we don't compare notes before the show, as you know, but like certain things come up in production meetings. We're trying to work out if he was talking about telepathy and woodlice or telepathic woodlice.
Yeah.
We're still not sure. These episodes have been burned.
They are literally...
Probably by the woodlice.
They're making it all up as they go along. They've got to be.
You'd never get away with that now.
If they schedule the next programme for a month's time...
Yes.
Because Linda's like, well, as soon as we're done here, I'm getting so pissed. I'm going to be comatose for at least 2 weeks.
Yeah. PTSD.
There's no fucking way I'm coming back in next Sunday night to record this. Nah.
Well, she's going to be taking up at least 3 weeks of her GP's time trying to work out whether she's got all those things wrong with her.
I'm afraid, Miss Blanford, the only thing I found was the tummy juices.
Yes. And she's going to go straight back out on the piste. She can't resist a bit of skiing because she's so glamorous.
Yep.
She's the Joan Collins of the supernatural world.
Why didn't you say that at the start? That's exactly what this is.
Madeline Smith. I think Joan Collins would be a little more animated.
Actually, that's very true. Not so much now because she daren't move in case something snaps off, but she's... Yeah. Yeah, we reach the end of the programme. We get a nice sign-off from Linda. It's not bad. Gordon does not lower himself to even look into camera. I think he too is an automaton. We've reached the end, chaps.
Imagine that. Imagine if you've managed to see, back in the day, episode 8 or whatever it was, of the last thing that went out and was then immediately destroyed, and Gordon Snell's last words on camera are, and by the way, we are both AI. Come back in 40 years for an explanation.
Yeah.
Then you just see him walking out and just tossing a match over his shoulder.
And in the second season, they were replaced with Colin Wilson, who is famous for having written Life Force.
Yep.
The one thing they didn't have.
Yes.
Gosh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I did watch one of the later episodes, and it's sort of like half one of those documentaries where they get actors in who should be working in a theme restaurant, and they do like a bit of narration over the top, and then they sit in the studio afterwards. And yeah, it's not as good as what we've watched, I've got to say.
Oh, so it's a bit like Worlds Beyond?
I guess, yeah.
Because I remember Worlds Beyond when that was on at the time, and people getting very, very, very upset about it.
That was on the shortlist for this series. We didn't cover it, but yeah.
Not taking the subject seriously enough.
If you get onto YouTube and look up future episodes of this, they take it very seriously. There's not a smile to be cracked in the entire thing. But
you can't really tell with Gordon, though, whether he's smiling or not.
Well, yeah.
Well, because he's always smiling.
Yeah. Because he's programmed to.
He can't stop.
Well, at this point, gentlemen, I have something to reveal.
Uh-oh.
I was actually raised as a spiritualist. That was my mum's and my granddad's religion, and I grew up going to seances and all of this stuff. And as a teenager, I was a member of the Institute of Psychical Research, but until I hit 21, I wasn't allowed to go out on any of the actual missions. I kind of thought it was bollocks then. I really think it's bollocks now.
Hang on. Missions? This sounds amazing.
Yeah, they go out on ghost hunts.
I was really hoping that you were about to say then that you'd summoned Gordon Snell and he was here tonight.
To be fair, I thought his reveal was going to be that he was going to do his steps up the mountain with a spirit trumpet.
No, but when you talk to me about going to church, my default thought is a seance, because that was the church I went to as a child.
A man of many facets you are.
As a closing thought, gentlemen, I would just say, I was a child of the 80s. I grew up absolutely loving Arthur C. Clarke's World of Strange Powers. I have the book.
It explains a lot.
I was terrified of it as a kid. Is this supposed to be a terrifying precursor of that, where everybody went to bed?
I don't think so.
No, this was on too late at night, so kids wouldn't be watching. This is more your BBC Two late night, thoughtful, a bit sort of like thought-provoking.
No, this is you haven't quite finished the bottle of gin. You want to watch any old shite until you're ready to crash.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is more the scientific sort of approach.
Yeah, Arthur Clarke, he put that on at 7:30 on ITV. That's designed to scare the kids before they go to bed.
Yeah, with Gordon Honeycomb's chilling tones.
Do the words.
Are we being watched?
That's it.
Terrifying.
This is for people who couldn't get into the Open University.
Okay.
You mentioned Gordon Honeycomb, by the way. He was on an episode of Through the Keyhole that I recently watched. What an odd house. Anyway, okay, we have finally reached the end of this, gentlemen. Mr. Moss, Mr. Ken Moss from the Exton Moss Experiment. How many pegs would you place upon Linda's injuries?
I'm glad that sentence went there.
4.
Fucking hell.
And I struggled with this. Apart from the fact that everything in it is soporific dog shit, it is very well paced for a programme of its time. Mm-hmm. It rattles along, even though there's not a single redeeming feature about it. I was captivated by the shitness of it from beginning to end, and for that reason alone, for the fascination that this thing ever got made, let alone broadcast, 4, I think. It's generous, but...
wow, that reads like a 6. Well done. That was a nice twist at the end.
Yeah, fair. All right, Dr. Exton.
Well, I'm in two minds, because I didn't find it entertaining in the slightest.
Yeah.
But it is very, very nostalgic for a period in my life that I'd pretty much completely forgotten about. Because of that, I'm going to give it a 6.
Bloody hell!
There we go.
Wow.
And if the rest of it existed, I would watch it.
Mr. Blackout.
Leap in the Dark, I think, is the absolute pinnacle of its genre. Amusing, baffling, infuriating television, whose aim is not to explore, cajole or convince, but only to get people talking about it in the office the next day. This is proper Did You See water cooler TV, full of absolute characters. Both hosts, still alive, bring it back, 9 pegs.
Good God.
There we have it. I loved this because of how bad it was.
Yeah.
Dr. Velvet?
I'm thinking along a similar sort of path to you. Ghost stories for the home counties, sloppily wrapped in pseudoscience and a floaty frock. This is BBC early 70s, where any idea was a good idea, and the production budget couldn't buy you a mini milk. Nevertheless, the lack of self-awareness here is beautiful. 8 pegs from me.
Boom.
All right, Mr. Blackout. How many kicks up the arse would you like to give Gordon Snell as you traverse and yodel up the mountain?
Well, leaping in the dark this week is Linda Blanford, who did some reporting work for Election 70 under the charge of Robin Day, who guested on a 1970 edition of the Morecambe and Wise Show, along with Alan Curtis, who turned up in the film Ladies Who Do next to Peggy Mount.
What do you mean he's funny about clothes?
Very good indeed. Nice.
Dr. Velvet, how about you?
Well, I could do it in 3. Creeping in the dark tonight is Gordon Snell, who lent a hand in the 3rd series of Crackerjack. And was joined by Ronnie Corbett, who appeared in 1970's Some Will, Some Won't, next to Diana King, who resided in Paradise Lodge and, of course, proved you're only young twice, with
I'm sure I was in the room, wasn't I?
Very efficiently done, sir.
There you go.
Dr. Exton.
Well, I can join you in a spooky too. Peeping in the dark here is Linda Blanford, who's a panellist on 1968's Quiz of the Week, along with Willie Rushton, who was one of the celebrities inside Squares for a Series 1 edition of Celebrity Squares, right next to Peggy Mount.
Never mind that. Pick up that phone and dial the police.
Oh, my God.
I knew that spirit meter was going to come in handy.
And Mr. Moss.
I can do this in the same number of sticks that it takes to not find water with dousing.
Oh.
Leaking in the dark now is Gordon Snell, who went round to do a bit at Gloria Hunniford's open house with Cliff Richard, who starred in 1966's Finders Keepers with Peggy Mount.
Stop staring at that phone.
Beautiful.
You couldn't get more on brand than that. Very good. Thank you very much indeed.
Good Lord.
I know. Right. I would like to just sit back and have a little bit of a rest now, but of course, I can't do that because blackout. You know what time it is?
I certainly do.
Yes, it's time for us to have a rummage in the toffee tin of
Top 10 Teletunes.
Most of you know what this is, but for the benefit of new listeners, we've got a tartan toffee tin here, left over from Christmas, and it's got over 100 bits of paper in it.
Everyone's got a different televisual theme tune written on it, all suggested by your good selves when pod producer Ken ran a poll on his Twitter, @podproducerken.
So, it's time to open the tin, grab a note, not going to have a look, and then we're going to pass the request straight to Ozzy Bognops, who's waiting, of course, in the piano cupboard.
So have a listen, enjoy. If you know what this tune is, dear listener, why not let us know on the socials, @PeggyMountPod.
There's no prize, it's
just for fun.
And for showing off. Anyway, without further ado, there you go, Oz.
Mine, I'm not sure I've got the strength to play this one after Copacabana, really.
that's that. Do remember to get on the socials and tell us what you think that tune is. For the love of God, get on the socials. Right, that's it for our Leap in the Dark. Marvellous. I'm off to the eBays to bid on the very pinny worn by Elizabeth Spriggs in Shine On Harvey Moon, so I can wear that and a pair of stilettos when I unsubscribe from X formally. In the meantime, Blackout's got your socials.
Thank you once again for being with us, everyone. If you'd like to get in touch, you can email peggymountpod@gmail.com, or we are peggymountpod on Twitter, on Facebook and on Instagram. We are on the Blue Sky as well, but we very rarely post there because we get next to nothing from posting on Twitter, to be fair, and Blue Sky's basically the same thing, but somewhere else, so really why bother? 5-star ratings are always welcome on Spotify, iTunes, wherever you listen to us. Don't forget to go to peggymountpod.com, check out the show notes for this, for all our other episodes, a picture of Gordon Snell, and maybe have a gander at our online boutique for some branded crystal balls.
It's as simple as that. It really, really is. Thanks once again to the boys from the Exton Moss Experiment.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you
very much. We have not had as much fun since we were on the Pat Coombs Simpering Spectacular. This has been a joy. Thank you, gents.
No problem at all. And obviously, our listener can find your wonderful episodes all over the gaff. They're on most platforms. Have you got anything rather spectacular coming up that they might want to know about? Can my voice get any higher?
We have episodes on Triangle, Star Maidens, and
Murder on the Moon.
Oh, yes. Starring your good selves.
Yes, I still have PTSD with that. But Triangle. Now we're talking.
Oh, in that case, wait till we do El Dorado.
Yes, you've been promising this for a while.
Well, we've recorded it, and Ken fucked up the recording.
Here we go again.
Twice.
Put your tin hat on.
Brilliant. And, well, it's well-timed as well, because they're about to rerun the episodes, aren't they, from episode 1 on?
No, they've already started.
It is fascinatingly awful.
Thanks once again to Exton Moss. Make sure you listen to them. Right, thank you for listening. We'll be back next week with more of the same, only different. Until then... Keep
Mountain. The Peggy Mount Calamity. Our Calamity. Our.
The Peggy Mount Calamity Hour is a free podcast from iPool Media, which holds production copyright. Opinions and recollections expressed are not to be taken as fact. The title and credit music is by Dr. Velvet. Audio segments from television programs are presented for review and informational purposes only under fair use, and no ownership of these is claimed or implied by this show. For more information, visit peggymountpod.com.
Drinking, swearing. Getting facts wrong on mic. Raising up, brazen. Doing just what they like. The Peggy Mount Calamity Hour.
And that's your lot. That was a bit good, wasn't it? We unashamedly adore the Peggy Mount boys, and if you like our stuff, then we'd urge you to give them a try. As Simon pointed out during that episode, they'll be guesting with us in the near future when we chat about an absolute stinker of a TV movie, Murder on the Moon. Until next time, thanks to Blackout and Dr. Velvet for having us aboard, and thanks to you for listening. Ta-ta. The Exton Moss Experiment featured Simon Exton and Ken Moss. All featured soundtracks are the property of their respective producers, and no infringement of copyright is intended. Title music was performed by the BBC Symphony Orchestra, and the programme was produced by Maverick Productions. For more information, please visit maverickproductionsuk.blogspot.com or find us on social media.